What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Gab Lim, and Mr. Maui Yap. What's up, guys? Maui,
Uy,
nakita mo ba
masaya
yung jersey ni Gab?
Mamaya. Baka spoiler eh. Mamaya ako i-reveal.
Blue eh. Alam ko yung itsura na yan eh.
Old school.
Alam
Uy,
ko
masaya
anong year yung
Umajang,
jersey na yan.
yung masaya yung Umajang. Nanood ako. Lot of UAAP teams. Yung may apat. Pati Dave's Construction. Malakas pala yung
Dave's Construction. Eman Ojula, former FEU FSA. Shout out to him.
Legend. Dominate.
Legend.
Again, fighting mo against every team. Yung dominated. Eman Ojula, what a throwback. FEU legend for one season.
Sayang eh, na-affect ng COVID. So, ended up only playing one season for them.
The last good FSA. Ay, hindi. Okay na pala FSA.
Hindi, si ano na.
Oo
na.
Okay na.
Grabe ka naman
okay na.
kay Konate. Grabe ka naman.
Konate na, solid na.
Before Konate. Before
the,
Konate pala.
the last good FSA. Speaking of good players, this is going to be part 2 of our top 25 UAAP players in the last 25 seasons. So, since season 63, if anyone's counting. If you're curious about part 1, we talked about number 25 to 16. Check out that episode in our podcast section on YouTube, or check out our Spotify. So for today, we're going to talk about the next 10. So we're going to do 15 to 6, and then part 3 will be number 5 to 1 plus the snub. So stay tuned for that. Gab, anything you wanna say or talk about before we start?
If you want to know also the mechanics of how we created this top 25, also watch the previous episode. I explained it at the start. Again, we did not just rank, we scored each player that we named into our essentially top 30. And then we got 25 players based on the scores. Hence, we got... So, some players may be lower depending on how each one scored. I do remember one player was very controversial in our number 25 to number 16. Maui was violently acting.
2 actually, diba? For you guys, 2. Si Mac at si... Ayaw nga. Okay. 2.
Basta, watch that. It was pretty crazy how low those two were. Because one person here didn't have them on their rankings. but we'll get that later. Sammy, why don't you be the one to show the list?
Okay.
All right.
Guwapo.
So at number 15, we have Mr. Jervy Cruz, former UAAP MVP of the UST Growling Tigers, UAAP champion in 2006. I would say probably the most unexpected MVP ever for in UAAP history. This guy came out of nowhere. We hadn't heard of Jervy Cruz even before he came into the UAAP. Remember, he was a transferee. He was in Team C, Team B of UST. And then suddenly came up as Coach Pido, started coaching in the UAAP and delivered a championship, was an MVP. I had nightmares of him in the post because he was one of the best post players I've ever seen. Yung footwork niya, he was pretty undersized for a big man also, pero grabe yung footwork, his fade away yung from the post, his hook shots, his up and unders, just knew how to get the shot yung from inside the paint. His pro career was pretty lengthy also, was pretty known. Minura siya ni Yengi the bench. I do remember that. But yeah, Jervy Cruz is at number 15. Deserve or not? Maui, Sam.
Yeah, ako, actually, si Jervy Cruz was ranked number 16 on my list. So, the 15 ranking, I think, is justified. As you mentioned, Gab is a one-time MVP, and I can't believe it's the only championship of UST in the 2000s. Jervy Cruz delivered that along with the wings for days of Pido Arencho. If you know, you
Only
know.
wings.
Only wings, UST Tigers. And yeah, Jervy Cruz was the surprise. Jervy Cruz was the best player, and it's good that he got an MVP. I think the year after, if I'm not mistaken. But this guy was dominant. Probably the most dominant big in the early 2000s, outside Rico Villanueva. That's why he made it to the PBA. That's why he lasted in the PBA despite being undersized, despite being only 6'4". Ito yung bigs during the early 2000s, 6'4", 6'5", big man. Not lanky, very brute force, very I think si Jervy Cruz and Enrico Villanueva are the perfect uh, examples of this. And I think si Jervy Cruz, there was a rumor he lost, I think, 80 to 90 pounds to get from, as you mentioned, Gab, Team B or Team C or Team D of UST before he got to Team A. So this guy was a workhorse, and I think his game showed it. He probably led the UAAP in rebounding, or if not, was one of the top rebounders most of his career. This guy probably had some 2020s in the UAAP, and really brought Pido Horencio to glory in UST. I think his discovery was the rebirth of Pido Horencio in UST, and that really catapulted them to a miracle championship in 2006. That was a miracle championship. There were so many
Still
rumors.
hurts to this day. Still hurts.
I think that's the championship that hurts the most. If you've been a fan of the Blue Eagles since the 2000s, that was probably the one that hurt the most because that almost got Coach Norman fired. That prevented the likes of Doug Kramer and Maki Escalona and JC Intal from ending their careers on a high note. And Jervy Cruz did a lot to prevent that. Jervy Cruz was dominant. And I don't think we've seen anything like him. Yung surprise na out of nowhere from Team C, Team D in the UAAP. Usually we get guys who are good right off the bat, and Jervy Cruz was an exceptional example of this.
Yeah, I agree with the ranking. I think I had them in the 20 to 17 range. Marami siyang katay. So, around that range. So, more or less, this is where I expected him to be. Um, yung, if I were to rate him, diba, yung individual talent, you talked about the MVP. It's hard to get an MVP. Not everyone will be able to get that. So, he has that mythical team member multiple times. I checked the Wikipedia. Most defensive player din siya for a year. So I don't even remember na may ganong award. So not just on the offensive end but defensively apparently. Plus the impact. Sinabi mo na Maui, yung Miracle UST Championship. If you talk about impact, just being I think hindi lang si Jervy Cruz yung surprising guy na biglang gumaling. I think the whole UST team during that year. That's why we call it the Miracle Championship. Naalala ko we had a debate about this a long
The
time
most
ago. Hanapin mo yung
expected
episode
championship.
yon.
Diba? The
Yeah,
most
the
unexpected
most
championship.
unexpected championship. This was one of them. Yung UST championship na to. Beating stacked Ateneo team. You mentioned legendary coach Norman Black. Intal, Kramer, Maki Escalona. I think Ford Arrow was also there, if I'm not mistaken. So, we had a couple of bigs. Ateneo had a couple of bigs to match up against Jervy, but he was the best big in that series. So, that says a lot about how good this guy was.
I actually checked my personal rankings. I had Jervy Cruz exactly at 15, so I guess he was properly rated in our final tally of scores. All right. Sammy, would you kindly press the next? At, at 15, I think we have our most recent inclusion into the list, Malik Diouf. I think our first FSA. Yeah, our first FSA to make it to our rankings. Malik Diouf, UAAP champion in season 84. UAP MVP in season 85. Yeah, season 85. Made the finals 3 times, lost twice, but won once on that JD Kagulangan dagger 3 from the wing in 84. Uh, I believe can have an argument for the third best FSA of all time. We a guy like Kareem Abdul, Alfred Aroga may have a certain argument for that, but overall I think he he belongs in the top 25 as one of the best FSAs to ever put up. I mean, he was the only one essentially that could match up to the unstoppable force, which was Ange Kwame. We haven't seen anyone just match up well with Ange except for Malik Diouf. And their battles in season 84 and 85, I think, justify that. That was legendary. I still remember them going back and forth in season 85, that those 3 games in the finals, and is definitely beloved by a lot of the UP faithful, delivering them a championship. I'm sure a lot of UP fans will be very happy that we included Malik Diouf on this list. Who had too low? Deserves to be in the top 25 or not? Sammy, let's go with you since you are from the University of the Philippines.
Okay, so actually I'm happy to see Malik in this spot. I actually had him higher. But looking at the guys behind him, I think this is a better spot. He should be like in the 15 range. So I'm looking at the guys behind him. Dapat a couple of these guys should be ahead of him. So I think this is okay. This is an okay spot for Malik Diouf.
Rico.
Maui, spoiler alert. I think yung impact talaga ni Malik Diouf for UP is yun. You mentioned it, Gab. Being able to match up with Ange Kwame, because as we know, the previous 2 seasons they had Bright Acuete. Bright struggled. Bright was dominant against other FSAs, against other bigs, but he could not match up, or he couldn't do much against Ange Kwame. Ange was bigger, more athletic against Bright, and that's how Ateneo has dominated UP in the past 2 seasons. With the arrival, we all know Malik Diouf arrived because they wanted someone to match up against Ange Kwame. And before he even arrived in UP, di ba yung mga preseason games, yun yung laging nababalita na, si CEU lumaban against Ateneo kasi may FSA sila that could match up against Ange Kwame. So we all know UP really got Coach Bo Perasol made a smart move and got Malik Diouf from CEU to match up against Ange Kwame, and that led to a championship. Obviously, other players came in, a new coach came in, but I don't think UP would have won that championship without FSA like Malik Diouf. So I do agree. He could arguably be one of the top 3 FSAs of all time.
Yeah. Ako, you made my top 25, but I think Sammy mentioned he probably could have been ranked lower. I would still say that si Rico Villanueva deserves higher than him because of that. He had 3 seasons and he made the finals, and he also got an MVP. But Malik Diouf was the epitome of UP. Defense. No nonsense defense. Walang arte, just playing the game of basketball. And I think because of Malik, there were a lot of FSAs from CEU got a job in the UAAP.
Isipin ko sana yan eh. Maraming budol dahil kay Malik Diouf.
That's how good Malik Diouf was, to the point that UAAP teams, namely Ateneo and Lasal, I will not mention the names because a lot of people are mad at these guys, got FSAs from CSU. and that's because of how dominant Malik Diouf was,
CEU.
and CU, and that's because of how dominant Malik Diouf was, and that's why UP got its first championship with Malik Diouf, and without Malik Diouf, Kwame could have had a more colorful UAAP career when it comes to awards, but he was probably only the FSA that really had a chance during that time, and yeah, I think he deserves to be top 25, definitely. So far, the best FSA of UP in the 2000s, without a doubt. I think nobody is even close. The fact that we are debating if he is a top 3 FSA and could eventually be a debate if just to be in that sentence, I think qualifies him to be a top 25 player. I just think the rating is too high for me.
I actually agree. I had him at 19. So I had a few players over him, and I think 14 is too high. But it is what it is. It is how we scored it, and he did a pretty high score from all three of us. He did score high enough. Performance obviously won a championship, made three finals. So there. Yung gusto ko lang sabihin, yun na great minds think alike, Maui, yun din yung sana ihirit ko. Maraming nabudol at naloko sa CEU dahil kay Matthew. Oh, Ateneo, Lasal, probably he's still gonna stay still in Lasal, and he's still probably gonna be one of the FSAs for Lasal next season. So let's up next.
Baka naman mali tayo with the no, with the one in Lasal. Let's see.
Baka gumaling na.
That's true.
Baka gumaling na. At 13, Rich Alvarez. The surprise looks on Sammy and Maui's faces, I think, says it all. Now listen, I wore his jersey in commemoration of him making this top 25 list at number 13. I love Rich Alvarez, one of my favorite players. But I'm gonna say that I think this is too high for Rich Alvarez, to be honest. I had him in the team. Yes, he was a two-time MVP. Albeit on a technicality because his teammate Enrico Villanueva was suspended twice in two consecutive seasons. He'd won a championship, made another finals in 2001, and in 2003. So three finals appearances, one championship. But to be honest, he was a glorified role player in all three of those teams. You know, he wasn't the main offensive option. He was the Swiss Army knife of those Ateneo teams from 2000 to 2003, or 1999 to 2003. He was a Swiss Army knife, a role player. Think Will Navarro of the most recent comparison. A very athletic guy who could defend multiple positions, can bring up the ball. I do remember he was Joe Lipa's answer to the Pumaret press, because the guards would not guard him, so he was the one who would bring the ball up as a power forward. What I think was way ahead of his time as a stretch power forward. No one really shot threes, especially bigs, but he did. He did shoot. He could shoot threes. He didn't shoot a lot because, you know, going inside the paint was the in thing back then. But yeah, I think he's too high. Maui, you had a stank face on you when I mentioned yung Rich Alvarez.
Yeah, ako actually si Rich Alvarez, I was surprised. I was looking at my list right now, and he's number 13. So sakto with our unified
Wow,
list, and
that high, huh?
yeah, that high. I think may personal bias dito, because well, before that I would say that when I was looking at his stats or his accolades, he's still a four-time mythical member. Despite even if you remove yung MVPs, being a four-time mythical member in the UAAP is unheard of and crazy. That's how consistent this guy was. He was also a defensive player, but Gab is right. I think there's a personal bias when it comes to Rich Alvarez for me. One of the first sneakers that I remember my parents purchased for me was an end one. That
The
is
Tai Cheese.
the Tai Cheese, the one Rich Alvarez was wearing, because that's all I wanted. Rich Alvarez was one of my first basketball idols, not just in the UAAP, but basketball idols. And I was fortunate enough to know this guy. Eventually, when I was having my therapy for ACL in Moro Lorenzo, and he's a very nice guy. Rich Alvarez is a very nice guy, and maybe that's one of the main reasons why he's the one that got the two MVPs, because he's not hard headed. He's not. He doesn't have a bad temper like Rico Villanueva. But yeah, if there was a Draymond Green in the UAAP, it has to be Rich Alvarez. This guy was doing it all. Bringing down the ball, setting up the offense, guarding the best player, bigs, wings, guards. I think Rich Alvarez is that utility player, that Hall of Fame utility player. And if there was a direct comparison in the NBA, I would say it has to be Draymond Green. And for the same reason, I think si Draymond Green will make it to the Hall of Fame one day. It's the same reason why Rich Alvarez is part of our 25 for 25. That's how valuable he was. And I think my only regret is him winning only one championship, because they had their chances after Rico Villanueva left. And that was unfortunate. But I think it's warranted for him to be top 25, definitely. Maybe too high because of some personal biases, but I still think he belongs top 25. There will be no 2002 team without Rich Alvarez. There will be no Ateneo rebirth without having the versatility of a Rich Alvarez.
Yeah, I agree. I actually had him number 15. So, medyo mataas din siya for me, Gab. Same thing, actually, yung bias ko, I think, Maui mentioned everything. I think I was surprised na four-time mythical team member siya. Obviously, for me, I counted the two MVPs. I considered the two MVPs. Sorry na lang kay Enrico, kaya siya natanggal sa list. Kaya siya nahatak sa list pababa. Also, very modern player. Ang ganda ng comparison actually ni Maui kay Draymond Green as a utility guy. Honestly, like when I was like in grade 4, I remember like watching him and Wesley Gonzalez, two guys that are like really long but play modern basketball. Doon ako na-inspired. That's why I wanted to take threes or hit mid-range jump shots, no, as a guy who played center nung elementary kami. Parang I wanted to be outside or be as versatile as Rich Alvarez. So may bias din ako personally. I guess that's why I sort of put Rich Alvarez up there.
Just some reactions. One, I can't believe I'm the one wearing the Rich Alvarez jersey and I had them at the lowest.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
On the
That's true.
rankings.
Kung kasya lang sa akin, yung Rich Alvarez jersey ko pa. Baka Rich Alvarez jersey din ako ngayon.
Kasi yan, Maui. Kasi yan. Hindi na makita yung baba natin eh. Insan eh. Second, yes, he was all-around guy. But one thing I would give him, he was a highlight.
Oh, yun. Oo, tama. Siya yung pinaka-exciting eh, di ba?
Yes.
Oh.
He was the only guy who could dunk.
Alley-oops.
Back then, remember? Diba? It was either him or si Cyrus Baguio or in the UAP highlights or in the intro video.
Mismo.
Sa mga intro
Siya
video,
tsaka si Baguio. Yeah.
Every UAP is either a Cyrus Baguio dunk or a Rich Alvarez dunk in the
Or
highlights.
si KG Canaleta. Yun lang. Silang tatlo.
Or si KG. KG Cataleta, yes. Oo. So, kudos to Rich Alvarez. Was one of the first highlight reel players in the UAAP just because he could dunk. It wasn't even flashy dunks. He could just do one-handers and two-handers, but he could dunk. Rich Alvarez, what a guy. Love him, man. Okay. Up next, at number 12. I spoiled it. Okay.
Okay
So,
lang. Let's do 12 and 11.
at number
Interesting
12,
naman.
we have Raba Al-Husseini. Number 11, the cool cat, Mike Cortez. So, Raba, I think, is a former MVP. Kailan ba yun? 2009. Or was it 2008? I'm blanking when he actually got his MVP. But, was the revival of the Ateneo Bigs. Remember, people were saying si Ford Arrow was the next big center in the UAAP, the next star center, but Raba became what Ford Arrow was supposed to be, I think. And as soon as his mid-range, as soon as Norman Black came in and unlocked him, I think that delivered the championship for Ateneo in 2008 and in 2009. I still remember his unstoppable game one against the UE Red Warriors in 2009. Was hitting mid-range after mid-range after mid-range, and no one could guard this guy. There were rumors, actually, there were really rumors that off the court he wasn't really the best. He was kind of a let's say very delinquent player, but Coach Norman Black worked his magic, and he was able to get the best out of Raba Al-Husseini. And Mike Cortez, what more is there to say? He's a Lasallian, but I think all three of us love him. That's how good he was. Because we all just loved watching him play. And I think it's poetic justice that his son currently is wearing his number in LaSalle. Is he wearing 11? Yeah, diba? He's wearing 11, and he's also delivering championships for the LaSalle Green Archers. Cortez was a two-time champion. Could have been MVP, I think. If they hadn't changed the rules in 2002, would have had more championships if he wasn't accused of some stupid things by the Latin community. But I think we all love Mike Cortez. I think these two are properly rated. Raba Al-Husseini and Mike Cortez. Thoughts? Are they too high, too low? Should they even be in the top 25? Sammy, with you.
Well deserved. I had Raba lower, but I think si Mike Cortez within the same range. Marami kasing tie, but I had Raba lower. But gets naman why he's there. Him and Mike Cortez, both two-time champions. For me, si Raba, ito yung once he was unlocked, he was like Tim Duncan-esque. Yung post moves niya, yung mid-range game niya, very unstoppable. And I guess yung difference niya with Ford Ara was yung size din niya, 'di ba? He was a lot bigger. I think he was like 6'7", 6'8". The biggest what if for me for Raba is number one, what if he was unlocked sooner? Kasi we all know he really just came out nung last 2 years niya with Ateneo. So that ended up with MVP the second to the last year, and then finals MVP nung last year niya, and the championship. So that's the one what if for me. The first what if for me for Raba. The second one is what if nagsabay sila ni Japet, 'di ba? Him and Japet were supposed to play together, pero Japet, as we all know, moved to the US to pursue a Div 1 career there. So I think Raba was unstoppable during his time, and actually I think like if he played now, kaya pa rin naman niya with the way he plays, and his size, probably similar to like sino bang similar sa kanya ngayon, PJ Palacielo type of player. That's how I imagined him, 'di ba?
Throwback eh. Throwback eh.
Throwback si
Everything in the
Palacielo.
paint. And paint and mid-range lang si Raba eh.
Yeah. For Mike Cortez, I think nakakalimutan mo yung biggest impact ni Mike Cortez, Gab, which is having one of the coolest nicknames in the UAAP at that time, the Cool Cat. Bagay na bagay talaga sa kanya. You
And
cannot
the
hate
coolest
this guy.
outfit. coolest
Yung
outfit, I might
shorts,
say. The
yung
long
shorts,
socks,
si long
the
socks,
baggy
long
shorts
shorts,
with the
baggy
long
shorts.
socks. Sometimes with a
Jacob
headband.
Curtis. Um, Jacob Curtis kinda reminds me of him talaga. Kaya bagay na bagay siya sa Lasal. Yeah, I think the one of the first Lasal players that I really loved. Actually si Cardona, I love his semi-hook pero nakakainis siyang player, 'di ba? You hate him eh. But si Mike Cortez, mahirap magalit sa kanya kasi galing talaga, suabe. Maui.
Yeah, Rabah Luceni was actually ranked number 11 for me. So very clear, very close to my ranking, and I think it's justified. I think si Sam was right. If Rabah was unlocked early, he could probably have made the top five. Ateneo would have probably be not just a five-peat team, championship team during that time. That was how good this guy was during that time. And I think the process, kung may the process UAAP, it has to be Rabah Luceni. And si Coach Norman Black, the training that Norman Black really instilled into Rabah Luceni, that was what that was years in the making, which is why when he started to really break out, there was no turning back. I remember during that time, he started to break out nung ano niya, MVP season niya, but during the second round, everyone was expecting him to have a bad game after one good game after another. And there was no looking back after that. You can include me in that list. All of the Ateneo alumni, everyone was putting up their hands to their head when he was shooting those mid-range shots. But when they started going in, when his walk shot started to be unstoppable, he was one of, if not the most unstoppable player in the UAAP. Probably like before Ben Embala was, or maybe the Rico Villanueva type of player, where teams really had to double team him, and I think it's justified. And yeah, there were so many off-court issues to the point that I think yung PBA team that drafted him, Air 21, who had the first and second picks during that draft, you decided to get Nonoy Baclao as the number one pick just to try to level off yung confidence and yung arrogance ni Rabah Luceni. Obviously, it rubbed him off the wrong way, but yes, si Rabah Luceni is one of the most dominant UAAP players. And without him, we probably wouldn't get Norman Black's 5-peat. Because Norman Black needed Ateneo to win a championship badly after that 2006 loss to UST, and Rabo Luceni was there to the rescue, and I think he was paired perfectly. The pairing was perfectly a match made in heaven when he was paired with Nonoy Baclao, who was a defensive specialist, and the rest is history. That was really that started the dominance of the Ateneo in the UAAP. And for Mike Cortez, I think it's poetic justice, as Gab wrote. His son is now the top point guard in the UAAP after 25 years. And ang ganda kasi during that time, Mike Cortez was like the local version of an Allen Iverson, who was the idol of a
Yun.
lot of
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
during
True.
our generation. That was when
AI.
Allen Iverson won his MVP. That was when Allen Iverson got his team to the finals as probably the only scorer. And Mike Cortez was actually the complete opposite. I think his best asset was his playmaking. That was what made LaSalle pretty deadly. That was what made LaSalle work. Yung defense ni Mike Cortez on that press with LaSalle, and this playmaking, which made it all work despite them having so many weapons. And Mike Cortez is actually ranked top 10 to me, and I think this spot is fairly justified. And I'm excited to see if Jacob Cortez will make our 50 for 2050. Maybe 25 years from now, when we make our next episode, our 50 for 50 episode, both of them could be the only father and son duos part of that list.
So I just did a quick search. In his MVP season, Raba averaged around 19 points and 9.5 rebounds a game. And then during that same season against LaSalle, had
2010.
31 points in 31 points in game one of the finals. I do remember that. It was one of those finals when game one he just dominated. Ran around Ferdinand and Rico Meyerhofer, and they could not stop this guy. And si PJ Walsham. If you remember those guys, if you're from Lasal, you're probably you probably have maintenance medications already. PJ Walsham and Ferdinand. All right, up next we go into our top 10. Finally reaching our top 10. At number 10, beloved UP point guard and Ateneo Nightmare, JD Kagulangan. Uh, I'm happy he made it this high because I think I had him around this range. Again, I'm gonna call it. I was basically the only person in I think UAAP media to call JD Kagulangan the best point guard in the UAAP starting season 85. He People were calling about season 87 and 86, but season 85 pa lang sinasabi ko na this guy should be on the court at all times for UP Fighting Maroons. And he was, I think, their engine. Season 84 pa lang eh. I think, Sammy, Maui yung wala pa sa Boleros nun. Pero I was messaging you and si Dale saying that si JD Kagulangan should be their starting point guard. They eventually started him and they eventually made him their starting point guard. And Coach Gold could not keep him off the floor. I was saying he is the engine of that UP team, and he eventually became their engine. Their play would really fall off a cliff whenever JD Kagulangan was not on the floor. And siguro he is the biggest multo of the De La Salle Green Archers also. And remember, he came from De La Salle, from high school, and even played 1 year in college. But he eventually transferred to the UP Fighting Maroons.
Kasalanan ni Coach Bird yan.
Si Bradford kasi ang daming guards masyado eh. But I think his place is rightfully here. Won 2 championships. You could argue was probably their most important player for both those championships. Maybe aside from QMB and that season 87 run. But I'm happy that JD Kagulangan is here. UP legend, beloved, I'm sure, by the UP community. Dreaded. In the nightmares of a lot of Ateneans, I'm sure who lived through that game 3 shot that he made from the wing in overtime. I would add. So, but yeah, I love JD. I love the way he played. The ethics, he did flop a lot. I do say. You do remember season 85 when Kian Baclan was suspended for faking a foul because he always fell down when he shot jump shots. JD Kagulangan would do the same thing, but he would get the benefit of the doubt for it. Siguro yun lang yung blemish, but I love the way he played. He essentially made Terence Fortea look bad in my eyes because he was the backup point guard in 85. And UP's play would fall off a cliff every time Terence Fortea yung name would come in. But yeah, I love JD. I think it's deserving for him to be in the top 10. I think this signals the overall dominance of the UP Fighting Maroons since the post-pandemic.
Yeah. I think you mentioned a lot already. I actually had them ranked higher. I think may tie siya 8 to 6 range, but I think 10 is fair. I think 10 is fair. Looking at the other guys on my list, other guys could be higher. So I think top 10 is good for JD Kagulangan. I look at the 3 scoring metrics, yung individual talent or skills. Nandun eh. He plays on both ends of the floor. You mentioned it, Gab. Playmaking falls off a cliff kapag wala si JD Kagulangan. Yung offense ng UP, wala. Pag nandiyan si Terence Fortea, at least the earlier season. So, he was really, I would say, like, the engine of UP at that time. Defensively, we know he's a pest. Actually, magulang siya. A lot of good players are. So, that's one of his advantages din. Kahit maliit siya, marunong siya manggulang. So, marunong siya gamitin yung utak niya, no, against other players. Impact, you mentioned the two championships. I don't think UP would win those two championships without JD Kagulangan. If you look at all the best players on that championship team, we just talked about Malik Diouf. He only won one championship. He could not win another championship with UP despite having a stacked team. You look at Carl Tamayo, walang masasabi si Carl. Wala. Isa lang championship niya, di ba? So, it's really just even well, hindi. Yung center pala nila si QMB 1 year lang. But basically, he's the only like star player there na really helped them win two championships. You talk about impact sa mga tao, you talked about Ateneo and that nightmare game-winning three. I can still see it, yung game-winning three na yan. So, ruined Ateneo's four-peat chances with that game-winning three. So, legend, JD Kagulangan. May isa pa, legend din siya because lahat ng tao nagulat when he played another season.
The only
with a
player
legendary
in history
magic.
have 6 years of eligibility.
Yeah, so nautakan na naman tayo ni JD Kagulangan. So impact-wise, even off the court, may impact siya. That's why I ranked him really high. JD Kagulangan, UP, UAAP legend for me.
O hindi naman yata siya nag 6 years. I think gumulo lang. Did he really play 6 years? 5 years na siya
No,
naglaro. But,
I'm saying
5 years lang siya naglaro.
Yung
But-
5 years lang siya yung naglaro, but the residency year essentially did not count.
yeah,
Because
the only player to transfer to still play 5 years.
Yes, correct.
In the
Yes.
UAAP. Yeah, ako, you'll probably hate me because I don't think Kagulangan deserves to be top 10 in my list. There are a lot of guys who won championships, multiple championships, and multiple MVPs in the top 10. These are generational guys, and I think there could be an argument that Kagulangan wasn't even the best player during those UP championships. But he still made my top 25 for 25 just because of the sheer importance of him being to UP's dynasty. But we even debated on the show that QMB should have won that finals MVP over Kagulangan, and he didn't win the first finals MVP. So Kagulangan is probably the guy that would surprise a lot of people down the road. Maybe if we make a list 20 years from now, people will be surprised. I think there's some recency bias why Kagulangan is gonna make a top 10, but I find it crazy that he's in the top 10 when he probably was not even top 5 player during his 5 years in the UAE, making the mythical team just once during his last season. But that could also be a byproduct of UP's dominance. And with Kagulangan being that engine, being that guy, you could argue, di ba, si Mike Cortez is a guy who had that similar impact to LaSalle's chances, especially when Rene Netwalo graduated from LaSalle. But I think there are some guys some MVP champions who deserve to be higher on the list, which is why I was the one that probably dragged down Kagulangan from the three of us.
Yeah, fair.
Fair. Siguro ang mga comment ko lang kay JD is I don't think he should have been higher than Raba. I had Raba higher than him. I had him higher than Mike Cortez because he won more championships. He didn't win more. Yeah, he did. And he made more finals appearances. So and played again 5 full playing years despite transferring. I think that put him above Mike Cortez for me. But yeah, I get it if you had JD look his elimination round stats weren't that eye popping. Again, as Maui said, only made one mythical five. Because in the elimination round, they would blow out a lot of teams, and Coach Cole will use a very deep rotation. There was a season
Yeah.
where Janjan Felicilda inexplicably played over JD Kagulangan, diba? There was
Which they
that
lost.
season,
They lost that
which they
championship.
lost
Yan
in
ang biggest
game
question mark
three.
siguro sa career
Yeah.
ni
Oh,
JD.
Actually, yeah.
the biggest black mark I think on Coach Gold's illustrious career so far with the UP Fighting Maroons was the benching of JD Kagulangan in Game 3 of the Season 86 Finals. I would never forget that because I was shouting at the screen, like, what are you doing? Put JD Kagulangan back in the game. Up next, at number 9. And I'll actually do two players because they are tied. So 8 to 9, we have Mike Phillips and Jeron Teng, both Lasallians. And actually, if you're a LaSalle fan, you might want to watch the next couple of because the next four are all gonna be Lasallians. Spoiler alert. So let's go first with Mike Phillips. Maybe a lot of UP fans will be very angry with us at Mike Phillips over Lady Kagulangan, but it's what it is. What our scores indicate. But maybe a bit of recency bias here then. He did win the finals MVP in the most recent UAP season, was awesome in Game 3 of Season 88. They essentially ran their offense through Mike Phillips. Remember, that was Coach Topex Robinson's wrinkle in Game 3 after they did the box and one on Jacob Cortez. Played 5 years. Essentially, his development from season 84 to season 88, I think, Maui, you always point this out, is really incredible. From a guy who just grabbed rebounds and just scored in the paint, then suddenly he was playmaking from the high post, doing hook shots. His defensive tenacity, he could legit guard 1 through 5. He was the FSA but a non-FSA. That's the reason LaSalle could get away with an FSA such as Henry Agonane and Bright Noanco because they didn't have to play them because Mike Phillips was right there. Mike Phillips could match with anyone and he was a beast. Literally a beast. Whenever he would turn his motor on, he was unstoppable. And speaking of unstoppable, at number 8/9, the King Archer, since he started his UAAP career, he was already the King Archer. What else is there to say? 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs, multiple mythical team selections. Was being compared as the LeBron James of the UAAP back then because of how big he was. His shooting eventually never came around, but he didn't need to because no one could stop him from getting into the paint. Had a legendary battle with his brother Jerick Teng in the season 76 finals. But yeah, King Archer for 5 seasons, 2-time champion, Jeron Teng and Mike Phillips. Maui, Sam, your reactions. High, low, properly rated?
Yeah, I'll start with Teng. I think si Teng could have been a 5-time mythical member. The only season he did not make it, Jason Perkins made it by such a small margin. I think that's how dominant this guy was. If he was playing in today's era and performing like this, I probably don't see him playing 5 seasons in the UAAP. He was that good right off the bat. And I think it's justified. This guy scored 100 plus points in high school and led LaSalle to 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs. And you have to think, if Jeron Teng wasn't there and si Mbala lang, maybe Ateneo could have stolen that 2016 championship because Jeron Teng won them the game in Game 1, if you remember, the finals. And That was how good Ateneo was getting, but Jeron Teng was just too good during that end game to break the big momentum of Ateneo and eventually lead Lasal to his first championship, to his final championship in his last season. And he was a four-time mythical team member, and we always talk about Bobby Ray Parks, Kiefer Ravena, Terence Romeo, who are phenoms. And I think si Jeron Teng should be in the conversation. And rightfully so. And the UAAP awarded him with so many awards. I think ang only award that he should have and could have won is maybe yung MVP award. That was the elusive award that he didn't win. But 2 championships, 4 mythical team members, and 2 finals MVPs. Over Embala pa yung isang finals MVP. So that's crazy if you think about it. And yeah, I think it's well-deserving. He was actually number 7 on my list. Si Mike Phillips, on the other hand, was ranked top 15 for me, number 15, exacto. And I think it's a bit justified. Maybe we have some recency bias, but I think a lot of people were saying si Mike Phillips was the most important player, even over Kiambao at times in Lasal. I think ang ganda ng development ni Mike Phillips into to also an offensive player. We know he plays defense good. He was a defensive player. He was one of the best rebounders maybe in the UAAP history, and I think the main reason why I think this ranking is justified is because in the day of age of FSAs, Mike Phillips is the only local to be able to go toe to toe, or the only local that gave all, if not all, most of the FSA's business. And I think that is enough to show how dominant and how crucial Mike Phillips has been to Lasalle's resurgence as a championship team in the UAAP. And what a way to cap off his career, di ba? Winning that finals MVP and having that crazy game, one of the best finals performances in UAAP history.
Yeah. I had both guys within this range in the top 10. So I think Jeron Teng you talked about a lot, Maui. Tama ka, natawa ako dun sa LeBron James comparison kasi yun nga yung pinag-uusapan when he was playing, just because of how big he was and how strong he was for the position that he was playing. He was like a wing na very versatile and strong and athletic. Yung minus ko lang kay Jeron Teng, I think Gab, you mentioned it, yung 3-point shooting. If only he had his brother's touch, he would have been like the perfect superstar player.
But that was the craziest thing, Sammy. He put up numbers, but he was a really bad shooter.
Yeah. So he would just drive, diba? He would just drive and get fouled, and that's how he would get his points. I do remember yung later on in his career, siguro mga mid to late into his UAAP career, he also developed yung playmaking niya. He was one of the things that people talked about him then was buwakaw siya. He didn't pass the ball, but like later on he was actually a pretty good playmaker for Lasal. So I think well, he scored 100 points. So baka buwakaw talaga siya nung high school, but I think yun yung na-appreciate ko sa kanya specifically later on. He was a pretty decent playmaker for Lasal. So well-deserved. Maganda yung sinabi ni Maui. I did not know na si Perkins yung nag-mythical team nun. Kaya siya hindi siya nakapasok.
Oh, I didn't know that also.
I didn't know that. I don't remember that. So, good one, Maui. Mike Phillips, I had him higher. Actually, just a bit higher than this. So, baka recency bias nga, sabi mo, Maui. Because, for me, I just had to put him up there. I know he only had 2 championships. No MVPs, but I sort of counted it because he was like top 2 in MVP votes for 2 seasons. Also, I just cannot forget when he played against FEU and FEU could not bring down the ball because Mike Phillips was there full court pressing them and nobody could bring down the ball. yung guards, si Pre, lahat nahirapan. And this is the first time I'm seeing center be down there, play the full court press, and like disrupt the offense. They just could not bring down the ball. So I sort of gave him bonus points for that. Obviously, the one thing that maybe you can call out on Mike Phillips would be the free throws. He never really had
Oh,
good
he
free throw
delivered
shooting, but
championship to UP Fighting Maroon with all his missed free throws in season 87.
that's true. That's true. That's true. So yun, baka minus points siya doon.
Both of these guys are actually bad free throw shooters. just a note there. Si Geronte, si Mike Phillips. Both were terrible free throw shooters. Just a note lang on Geronte. I don't think we would have the 530 version of 30 Ravenna if he had not matched up with Geronte. Remember, he was matched up with Geronte in 79 and he got overpowered by Geronte. Which is why the next season, if you look at his body transformation, 30 became so jacked. Season 80.
Crazy.
Remember that? Season 79 was his year after he was in probation because of grades.
Yeah.
He came back.
Yeah.
He was inserted as the main guy automatically because a lot of guys got kicked out of Ateneo. So under Stab, matched up with Geronteng in the finals, got schooled by Geronteng. You know, he was nowhere near as strong as Jeron, but back in the 80 and I remember lahat tayo had that same reaction watching 30. Anong ininom nitong batang doon for 1 year? Ang ina niya.
Pretty sure he got drug tested nung lumabas siya.
I'm sure sa Ateneo na random drug test. Parang, what's this guy drinking? There's just no way he got that big. All right. Our last two players for this episode, once again, they are tied for our score. So don't mind the numbers. They are tied. Both are from the De La Salle Archers. Number 7/6, Kevin Kiambao and Big Ben Embala. So you can discount them as 6, tied for number 6. I think these two properly rated. I had them pretty high on my list. AQ, obviously the first local MVP since Kiefer Rivera, and magical run in season 86. I think we all remember his season, his development from season 85 down to season 86. We were all amazed. Like, what is this guy? Why is he suddenly shooting a bunch of threes? His playmaking was always there. He could now dribble from the outside. He was creating his shot from mid-range. He was taking guys off the dribble, post up, doing fadeaways. That I don't think we've had a guy develop as much as KQ in his first 3 seasons in the UAAP. That quickly, he developed into the player that he was in when his UAAP career ended in season 87. It's crazy. 2-time MVP, only 1 championship, but I don't think you can discount the greatness of KQ. I still remember season 86 finals game 3. He willed LaSalle to that championship. Remember, he blocked Jerry Abadiano, his former teammate. He made the clutch baseline shot to give them the lead that they never relinquished. He was amazing. I still remember game 2 of season 87 when he shot 2 threes over Jacob Baila and over MB. LaSalle crowd was going crazy. They thought they had lost the championship, but KQ brought them back from the brink of losing, and I love this guy. Siguro, if you count him as one of the LaSalle I love watching, I would put him at number 2. Perhaps number 1 will discuss him in the next episode. But yeah, number 2, I loved watching KQ. Big Ben, I hated watching Big Ben because I was scared of Big Ben Embala. I don't just he was the guy that palagi kong tinatanong bakit siya nasa UAAP. He should be playing pro somewhere already. He's too big, he's too strong, he's too skilled for the UAAP. Why is he here? Si Ange Kwame, gets mo pa eh. You know, he was thin when he first entered, was pretty raw. Si Big Ben, hindi eh. Alam mong pro na siya eh. At naglalaro siya in college in the Philippines. You knew he could play internationally for any other country and eventually did yung for Cameroon. But Big Ben, most dominant player I've ever seen. There is no one close. There is no one close to being the most dominant player in the UAAP than Big Ben Mbala. And only won one championship. So thank you to the Ateneo Blue Eagles for denying him his second. But that's how good he was. He's number 6. He only played 2 seasons. He only played 2 seasons.
Crazy.
I think that's the shortest stint. So he's number 6 on our top 25. That's how highly I think we all think of Big Ben Mbala. And monster numbers. You look at the numbers he put up. Both seasons when he was MVP, layo niya in terms of statistical points. Sobrang layo. No one was even close.
Yeah. I love these two picks. KQ is up there on my list. I actually had Ben Mbala lower, but just because he played 2 seasons and only won 1 championship. Originally, nandito din siya in this range, I would say. But I dinged him because he only played 2 seasons, only 1 championship, lost to Isaac Go and Chibueze Ike from Ateneo. So
Ike
sabi
should
ko,
be in the top 5.
yeah, Ike should be in the top 5. Anyway, sabi ko, I can't put Big Ben up here if he lost to Isaac Go and Chibueze Ike. But I do agree with what you said, Gab. If there's one player that brought fear upon me whenever I saw him on the team, on the court, it was Ben Mbala. The rest, like, I'm looking at this list, Mike Phillips, Jeron Teng, kahit si KQ, JD Kagulan, hindi naman ako takot sa kanila eh. Like, they're good, but they're not really scary. But if there's one player that scared the hell out of me from this top 25 list, it was Ben Mbala. So, impact-wise, grabe talaga yung fear that he yung nightmares that I would get whenever I would see him play. And it's so crazy to think na Ben Mbala and Jeron Teng were playing together at one point because you talk about Jeron Teng being the LeBron James. Ito si Ben Mbala parang ito parang Dwight Howard na LeBron yung laro. It's just so crazy that these two guys are playing at the same time. So, yeah, I get it. I get why he's here in the top 10. I get why he's this high. For KQ, you talked about it already. I think the one thing that also is worth mentioning is probably the first local in a long time to win the MVP. He obviously si Pasaol also won this year, but for the longest time it was the FSAs. KQ was the one who broke that streak. So I gave him bonus points for that. And kahit na he just won 1 championship versus the other guys, he did get 2 MVPs. And yung game 2 na yon against UP, hitting those threes, naalala ko pa yun, Gab. That was crazy.
Yeah, KQ and Ben Mbala, back to back. 2 guys who I think should be in the top 10 because it's when you talk about top players, these 2 guys had seasons, multiple seasons for both of them that they were without a doubt, I think unanimously. If you ask any person who was watching UAAP that time, who's the best player during that season, who's gonna be the best player that season, they would unanimously say KQ. They would unanimously say Mbala. And I think that's justified. They won back-to-back MVPs. Diba? I think that's one of the main reasons why si Coach Tab is one of the best coaches of all time sa UAAP because he was able to beat Jeron Teng and Mbala. Oh, no. Sorry. He was able to beat Mbala, not Jeron Teng. And it's one of the main reasons also why UP is really one of the best. I think has an argument to having one of the the best picks in UAAP history because they are also able to beat KQ. And these two players were
KQ and
unstoppable.
Mike.
Unstoppable in their own time. And I think it's justified that they make the top 10. I think si Embala could have probably made the top 5 easily if he had more seasons in the UAAP. He'd probably rack up the MVP award every season. I don't know if
Sana
he
hindi
would have won.
yung hindi siya nagligang labas, diba? He was supposed to come a year earlier. Remember? But I think he was playing
Oo
in
nga,
the
no,
ligang
nga
labas
pala.
when it was yung disallowed. I do remember a lot of UAAP schools voted to have him.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
diba?
none of the UAAP schools wanted him to come kasi they voted
That's how
against him.
that's how scary si Embala was. And the fact that we're still talking and a lot of people still talk about and remember Ben Embala almost 10 years after is despite only playing 2 UAP seasons. Diba? We have a lot of players playing 5, 4, 3 UAP seasons who are legends, but Embala only played 2 seasons, and yet a lot of people still remember him 10 years after. That's how good, that's how dominant Ben Embala was, and even too dominant to play in Asia, in any league in Asia. That's how crazy, that's how good Ben Embala was. Kaya si Gab, ganun yung description, that he's already should have been a pro when he stepped on the UAP floor. And I think that's where LaSalle fans have a lot of what ifs. Because Embala could have come early, and Embala, I think, could have played one more season but decided not to.
Mhm.
So maraming what if kay Embala, but his dominance cannot be questioned. And I think si KQ also has that, diba? KQ could have played, I think, one more. But KQ is KQ, the fact that we have a lot of people, the fact that we want to compare, or the fact that we always say that people should look at how KQ progressed in the UAP now, speaks volumes on how important his impact has been in the UAP this past few years, diba? A lot of the wing players who are 6'5" and above, we always want them to be like KQ. And that's because KQ was dominant. KQ will be a Gilas member for a long time, and KQ is even dominating in the KBL, not just in the local league. So I think KQ deserves his flowers and should be included in the top 10. Could have been top 5 also, maybe if he won more championships.
Yeah, but very much agree. I had Ben Embala in my top 5, but at number 5, I had KQ at number 7. So right on point for us. I think we scored them pretty much almost the same and you properly. And that ends our list for today. From number 15 to number 6, we'll be naming our top 5 in our next episode. Plus the snubs. There are some wild snubs. Wild snubs. I would have to say, watch out for that. There are some snubs I can't believe that even made the list. So that's it for this episode of Boleros. And let's not forget KQ's biggest achievement. He gave a championship to Joaquim Manuel. Bye-bye, everyone.